Now, live and in studio on your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS, your real estate and financial experts, making sure you win in every market. Your financial partners, Don and Gino.
Well, Merry Christmas to you. This is the day after Christmas, and hopefully you survived a beautiful day with your family. And we thank you for joining us today. Every Thursday, 12 p.m. to 2 p.m., the Don and Gino Real Estate and Finance Holiday Show.
Yeah, I feel like it's the day after Christmas sale at Macy's or something, you know?
And we'd love you to check out Gino's Goofy Hat on donandgino.com. And, even Paul, our guests have been very festive, today. They've been willing to wear the goofy hats and be festive. Thank you for wearing your hat, Paul.
You're welcome. I don't usually do this, but I made an exception.
That's right. It was almost a requirement to enter the vault. You had to have a goofy hat on. And even our producer, Shannon's got a hat on. She's hiding there, though, but Shannon's got her Saints Christmas hat on. Furman, you have a hat on? Yeah. He's hiding behind the scenes. I don't think he has his hat on. Furman with AP Production. He's the one to make us look so good with the cameras going back and forth between us, our guests, and the whole studio now. Got to check us out at donandgino.com and click on the Facebook logo and like our page. Like us. It's Christmas time. It's time to like us. That way we can be with you all week. That's the deal. Because otherwise we're only here with you Thursday from 12 p.m. to 2 p.m. And we send out great information on what's going on in the market, and you'll be in the know before anyone else. And it'll be real information, not sensationalized media. It's here's the facts. And here's our opinions on them, and we've been pretty spot on the last 2.5 years. In fact, we've usually been ahead of the game. When we talked about the taper or no taper, we said it's going to be either $0 or $5 billion on each, basically on each of the mortgage backs and the treasuries. And guess what?
That's exactly what we got.
Yeah, we kind of know what we're talking about.
Yeah. Well, the interesting thing, Don, is what you've got to do is to formulate our own opinion to prepare for the show, and we have to read tons of articles.
Yes.
Okay, so it's not just, I don't just watch Squawk on the Street or Channel 9 or whatever that is. I have to read 20 articles to formulate my one opinion on one item.
My poor wife, Cindy's like, really? You're bringing more stacks of stuff to read before we go to bed?
Yeah, I use my Amazon Kindle for that. I'm just like...
I bring stuff. All right, speaking of knowing your stuff and knowing your numbers, we're going to give you a rundown. And you might have heard this or had your own opinions, but Paul's brought a very nice list, Paul. Paul Dinkel with RE/MAX, by the way, a good friend of ours and a great real estate professional that's helped, Paul, we're in the hundreds now of real estate clients we've helped together. And we're like 100%. I think, I don't know if we've missed. I can't think about it, huh?
I can't recall a miss.
I mean, if you work with our teams, you're getting in a home.
Yes, they seem to keep coming back and sending, family, friends, and business associates to us.
Yeah, it was kind of cool having Joe and Jamie back. They were one of our first clients together, like 13 years ago. We've worked with them 3 times now. We've had their family members.
Well, I have listed and sold homes with Joe and Jamie, with Jamie's mom,
right?
With Nick's or Joe's brother and his wife, and then I've actually had a condo that for their mother or grandmother. So it's been a family deal. Yeah,
it's good that they work with professionals. I have to say, we won't go into the specifics, but the market was adjusting, and because we know our markets, and we watch the interest rate markets, Paul. There was a point when everybody was at, let's just say 3.5%, and everybody wanted 3.5%, but the market sort of shifting, and we saw it shifting, and we were calling all our clients saying it's time to lock in this great rate because it's going to shift. It's not going to stay in the mid-3s anymore. It's going to go up, and it's going to go up quick. And it started going up, and we remember calling them and saying, hey, it's time to lock. No, we want that 3.5. It's time for you to lock. It went up another 8. Called them back. Said, please lock. It's going to continue.
It's going to come down. I know it.
Yeah, they kept. They're like, I think we know our numbers pretty well, but it's what they wanted. It's not that they didn't believe us. They just wanted that number. They wanted that elusive 3.5. And finally, when it got up to 4%, we basically tackled them, threw them on the ground, tied them down, and said, "You are locking today. You are locking. You have no choice."
Yeah, it was an intervention.
Yes, it was.
And they decided that they wanted the home more than the rate. So
yes,
that always helps.
Well, the good news is we did lock them at 4, and right now I bet you're out there going, "I'll take 4. I'll take 4."
Anybody
I bet
will
you
take
would,
4 right now, huh?
Because it went all the way up to 5%, Paul. That's when those rates went up the fastest in history. It went from the mid 3s to 5% in literally 3 to 4 weeks.
Yeah, it's unprecedented.
So it was good we did our job.
Yep, no, that was good. And, when you look at it, like you said, with hindsight, you're like, wow, 4 is great.
Yeah.
Absolutely fantastic.
And the rates are still great now, Paul. I mean, when we were knocking out of the park in the mid 2000s and stuff, the average rate was almost 6.5%, and everybody was happy as a clam with that.
Which is a great rate.
Yeah, anything below 7 is a great rate, especially when you add in inflation.
Yeah. Well, 7 used to be the benchmark.
It was the benchmark.
People were comfortable with 7, and then they got spoiled with 3.5.
Well, okay, so let's talk about 2013 because we want to tee up why beginning of 2014 is the time to buy. So let's touch on what happened in 2013 to let's do a little foreshadowing of potential 2014.
Okay, you've got it. The beginning of last year, or beginning of this year, around February, inventory levels were around 200 for the whole Santa Clarita Valley, which is ridiculous because back in the mid-2005 time frame, 2004, we had inventory 2,500 to 3,000 listings at any given time. So when you start going from 3,000 to 200, huge impact.
Oh, you think? Yeah, we had nothing out there.
No, very little. And what happened was we had very high demand. There were a lot of investors, cash investors, that were wanting to buy properties for rentals.
Right.
And they were coming in and offering at or above market price for homes. So first-time buyers had to compete against investors and other buyers that had more equity or were paying cash.
With hardly no inventory.
And with hardly no inventory.
Right.
So what was happening was homes were selling in hours or days instead of, a typical 40, 50-day time frame.
Well,
so
weren't clients buying homes sight unseen almost?
I actually wrote offers.
Yes.
A lot of homes that were on the market, you couldn't see them because a lot of the listing agents were trying to hold them back for whatever reason, and you had to write an offer, subject to inspection. So people were writing offers over list price, subject to inspection, and they still weren't getting them. And the other thing, most of the listing agents were requiring people to remove all contingencies. They didn't want, obviously a home of choice contingency if it was a seller, that was trying to, sell their home first. They weren't going to take a contingency like that.
So meaning they weren't going to allow you to say, hey, as soon as I find my home, and if I don't find my home, I'll sell my home, and then I'll buy your home. They're like, nope, if you want our home, you're removing that contingency. You're on your own.
You couldn't have the sale of your home as a contingency.
So let's clarify.
They almost have to do a double
second.
move at that point. Yeah. If they wanted any control over that, they almost had to sell their home, move, and then go find a home.
That was a strategy that a lot of people did do. They ended up listening to their agent. They sold their home, even though they didn't have a place to go to. They would oftentimes put their stuff in storage, get a short-term rental until they found something and closed on the new property, because people just were not taking contingencies.
Yeah, so I want to clarify what contingencies are. Contingencies in a real estate contract are, what they do is they allow you to back out of the transaction without damages, so without having to release your deposit for certain reasons. One could be an appraisal contingency. You have a loan contingency, you have a physical inspection contingency. So if you go in as a buyer and you remove all of these contingencies, what you're saying is you're not going to back out no matter what, and if you do, your deposit's at risk.
That's true. And the big one that people had the hardest time with was the appraisal contingency.
Right, that was a big one.
Because what's happening is you've got a market where things are going over list price, and when it comes time for an appraisal, if it's not an all-cash deal, well, if the appraisal doesn't come in, then you've got an issue. You got to
make up the difference.
You're going to have to cancel, but oftentimes you had to, be subject to losing your earnest deposit if you canceled, or you had to come up with the extra cash to make up for the shortage.
So that means if you wanted to purchase the home at $225 and the appraisal came in at, which is say $210, you had to come up with a $15,000 difference.
Exactly.
Because you got rid of the appraisal contingency. In normal cases, you would basically have an opportunity to do either cancel or renegotiate at that point.
Yeah, there would be either a cancellation or the seller and buyer renegotiating,
based on the contingency,
a different price to remove that contingency. But sellers were not doing that because they were getting 15, 20, 30 offers. They could pick and choose.
Okay, so we've clarified that purchasing in 2013, even though it was a great time to buy because we saw incredible appreciation for those of you who did buy. Great for investors, great for first-time buyers, and everybody's enjoyed a lot of appreciation. But it was frustrating. We saw buyers getting frustrated, buyers not getting their homes. We have specific examples. We'll go into your example of one of our buyers that had to put in 18 different offers basically to get their first home. What we're trying to describe is what happened in 2013 that made it very difficult for you to buy a home, either your first home or your next home, your bigger home. And we're going to explain why now is a great time to avoid this potential drama and challenges in 2014. We're going to go through specifics and why you need to really think this through heading into 2014 and why there's great opportunities that you do not want to miss. Opportunities in the market. We're talking this window is about to close, so stay tuned. When we come back to the Don and Gino Real Estate and Finance Show, your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS.